Whatever you do, strive to do it so well that no man living and no man dead and no man that has yet to be born can do it any better. Benjamin Elijah Mays. Good afternoon, well, morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Angelo Drummond, proud graduate of Med High School 2010. And in this fall, I'll actually be a senior at Morehouse College, majoring in majoring in English and communications, similarly along the lines of still working with the community as well as, giving back. And I figured that that probably would be my strength because I've came such a long way with presenting and speech and communication and just articulation in general. So I figured it'd be a great way for me to give back by one majoring in English and also, being a communications major, because I just feel like that'll probably be the most, way for me to focus all my energy into. So just as a bit of a background, growing up in Camden, it's not the ideal actually location for where you want your child to grow up. You hear a lot about the city. It's bad things, rarely good things, but it's poverty stricken. The unemployment rates are ridiculous. It's easy for me just as well as anyone else to fall into the life of the crime and to just basically what the opposite of what Medis actually taught me. So a little bit of background, my mother was pretty strict with us going to school. I actually had no idea about what kind of school Medis was when I first got there. It was actually the second year that it opened up, and I didn't know anything about it. All I heard was that we go to school 3 days a week and you have internships. So off the back, I was like, I'm going. But I had actually no idea what I was getting myself into. But before I went to Medis, I had attended a few Camden schools through middle school and a little bit of elementary. And I actually was one of the the students that they consider to be, they want to call you smart. I was, I guess, so smart that I was moved to, the smart class, whatever that even means. I never pretty much understood why they would separate smart from dumb. That actually kind of, that makes absolutely no sense at all. But, one of the problems, looking back now that I was able to notice was, one, the achievement gap is real. Students are really being, they're taught years behind, and actually than what schools who actually have the sources are. Especially a school like, a city like Camden. The students were complacent with, failing. Even the teachers, they were complacent. They just came in at 9 and 8 and wanted to leave at 3. That's all they came there for. And when no one really cared about excelling. Everyone was focused on, just staying where they were. So in a way, if I would have stayed, in a traditional school, I would have been complacent with myself. But Med that school, that big picture is amazing. Although I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, the summer before I actually came to school, Keenan actually came to my house. I'm like, whoa, why is this teacher coming to my house? He came and sat down with my family. He had forms and agendas and calendars and books that I needed to read and things that I needed to buy for the school year. And I've, never really had a teacher come to my house and, plan. And, I was still, pretty lost. I wasn't sure. Actually, it made me second guess, should I have came to the school or not? Because I wasn't sure that it was going to be this actual, I wasn't sure it was going to be that rigorous. So, when freshman year, I honestly don't even have to really say anything. Keenan kind of embarrassed me for everyone. It's obvious in my presentations. My first exhibition, he actually embarrassed me much worse than that. He sat in front of me after I finished up, and he told me that it was trash. And I've never really had anyone to tell me in front of a group of people that that you could have done a lot better, and that you did not pass this semester because that was just garbage. And I'm like, I've never done a presentation before in my life. And, but what it did, it broke me down to know that I was able to accept my flaws, and work towards them. And that was just the beginning of, my freshman year of, well, what is there to come? And, so he throughout the year, he buried me in multiple papers and multiple books. And, I've never been worked like this before in my life. I was so used to, my bare minimum was always good enough, to just get me by. And I never really understood, I was actually being held accountable by my own potential. And I didn't even know what that meant at the time. So just going, like I said, my first exhibition was terrible, but it gave me the skills, for that first year to work hard, and my second year to come back with even a bigger challenge, a bigger bang. So each year it was a different struggle. Moving on to like my sophomore year, I was able to, I got better at public speaking. I had a little project. I like to call it a little project now. It was just more of a stepping stone to what my senior thesis project would be. But it gave me a way to actually work around project work and planning. And, I like I said, I've never done anything like this before in my life. And actually around that time was my first time that I visited Rhode Island. I came here and I was so amazed by, the structure of the school, and it gave me an idea of what our school was working towards and what Big Picture was working towards just in the world in general. And, I came back, I started, telling everyone, what grade of school it was, and it gave me hope to know that, what we were doing in tiny Camden wasn't just, us. It was much bigger than we are. So, and it was actually the time that I started working with other schools too, because I was so amazed by the motto at Rhode Island. We had, I started working with the Philadelphia schools, which kind of transpired to me working with the Newark schools. I was able to work with the Washington, D.C. schools. I was able to work in Delaware, as far as opening their schools. And even more so now to when I'm at Morehouse, I'm actually working with a few guys from Big Picture who's trying to open the school in Atlanta. So, I've been, really around the network. I was just so amazed. It was actually really life-changing. So, but through my junior year, I was working so hard. I didn't focus on anything else. I was school and I actually went to work. So those were just my two lives. I went to school and work. And I worked so hard that, I didn't even, realize the amount of work that I was doing until, Keenan told me that someone from the Associated Press wants to really meet with you. I had no idea the article was going to go so well. I was really just doing my presentation, my exhibition. Those were, I was trying to, that was what we were like required to do. So when I woke up one morning, people were calling on the phone like, oh, why are you in the Washington Post, the Philadelphia Inquirer? I seen one from USA Today, MSNBC. I was so overwhelmed by everything that had happened, and then it kind of showed me that, I still have so much more potential, because even that presentation, I felt as though I wasn't that prepared for it. So, but that's one of the things that my advisor really instilled in me, was the idea to never really be complacent of where you are. And, even your best, your best can always be better, so, and that was one of the things that, that actually got me, out of the actual city of Camden. It forced me to go from New Jersey all the way to Atlanta. I could have easily went to, Rutgers, anywhere close to the actual city. But I decided to push myself and move myself, to push myself further than what, at the time, when the older I got, I began, Keenan, it wasn't up to Keenan anymore to, push me far. And one thing the Big Picture model instills inside of their students is how to be self-taught, how to be, how to be self-motivated. You don't necessarily need a teacher there telling you everything that you have to do, because eventually you get to a point where learning is fundamental for your own self, So, like overall, my senior year, I got to my senior year at Medes, it was no more, I barely, I just checked in with Keenan at that point. It was more so, Keenan, I'm going to this meeting, I had this meeting outlined, I have this, project proposals, and, I had the community center. That was a really big project that I was working on, and that was only my main focus for my senior year, and applying to schools, So that when, when that actually took off, I took a step back and realized, that was actually great work that I was doing. It wasn't something that applied. If you think about high school, oh, I was inside of a certain kind of club, or I was the president of this. I was actually doing real world work that I still put on my resume to this day. And a lot of the time when you graduate from high school, it's like, oh, everything from high school erased, but nothing matters anymore. But for me, that actually didn't apply. I still have internship references from high school. I still have great relationships with mentors. And, one of the things that it's taught me is that it's never, the smartest man in the world couldn't do, he still couldn't be the most successful, but it's always about, who you know. And that's one of the big things that I really had to focus on was networking. And big picture, if that's not one of the things that we focus on, then I don't know what is, You always want to grab contact information. You always want to, grab business cards and networks and send emails. That was one of the things that I've learned. And it transpired to me. It transpired me when I ended up going to, Morehouse. I got there my freshman year, and honestly, I was really tired of the attention. I was tired of, everyone following me, national articles, and, I really just wanted to just take the time out to be a regular college student. And I could see that that's not what was planned. Even though I tried to run from it, it just wasn't what I was destined for. So, example, I'm here today, But throughout my few years there, I was able to obtain a scholarship based off of my community service work that I've done in high school. I had my mentors that I've known from high school, which are very important people now, to write me recommendations to a scholarship that actually pays for 80% of my schooling, to go to school. And one of the great things that Keenan has always instilled in me and his students, he's always said, if you have to go to school, you should never pay for it. And that was one of the things that, I really focused on when I got there. It was like, I'm not going to pay. And Morehouse tuition, I think, this year is $46,000. So I was like, I was not paying, to show my abilities when someone else can actually do it. So, that's how I, still maintain to stay in school, is through doing community work and project work. And it transpires to, what I'm doing, now, which is I took the idea from MedEast that they actually built a mosaic on MedEast campus, and I took that idea and brought it down to Atlanta, and I'm actually in charge of my own initiative now with building a mosaic on Morehouse campus, the first one that has ever, been done, and that's going to be completed on October 1st. So it's all about, the project work and everything that they instill in us, a big picture, it's all worth it. All the struggling and the fighting that you do with your kids, everything, the struggle to get them to school, to go to internships, it's all pretty much worth it. But one of the things that no one could have ever prepared me for was earlier in this year, I was actually, I had suffered a loss. My younger brother, he was actually a Big Picture alumni. He was actually, murdered. My junior year of Morehouse. And that experience, that nothing could have prepared me for that. And it was so traumatic that I was forced to, withdraw from school my first semester of my junior year. And, it was the hardest thing in my life. And knowing that, he was actually coming to Morehouse the year after, because, we were working with, I was working with him, and it was so all of a sudden, and like I said, I had to withdraw from school. But, one of the things that really helped me bounce back was the fact that I knew that I couldn't, focus. It was still much bigger than me. I was at Morehouse for a particular goal. I was there to, achieve greatness. And I know that, after everything had transpired, that I was still in a position to where I could change the world. And I always tell people my biggest fear is dying without making history. That's always been something that I've always thought about. Who wants to leave here without changing the actual world? And that was my main focus. But, after the entire experience, what it did for me was that it gave me eternal, motivation to work hard and to know that, I'm just not living for my own. I'm living for, people before me. I'm living for people after me. I'm living for my brother. I'm living for Medis. I'm living for big picture. And it's all about my success. It's going to really play a big part in the way we look at, students in general that graduate from college that have went to big picture. Because to this day, a lot of people still say the model doesn't work. Well, I'm here to tell you today that I am a prime example of the model working. And I feel like I probably have been up here too long, but I just want to really close with saying that everything you do for your students, please continue doing it. Push your students so far that it scares them and even you, because at times, it does get kind of scary. You just want to know that you are, as advisors and principals, you are the key to your students in helping them change the world. That's your job as advisors, is to push them to become, more than what they ever thought that they could be, and, to bring out the best potential that they have inside of them. And like I said before, I am a prime example of what the big picture model looks like through project work, through academics, through personal qualities, through working hard with the learning goals, and, everything. Push hard. Learn as much as you can this week so that you can take back to your students and know that there's hope for everybody. Because, I come from the same place a lot of you teach in, the kind of same urban environments and, the same mindset, the complacent students. But just if you push hard, and like I said, my advisor, he was a great example of what, an advisor was supposed to be, of never giving up. Never give up on your students, never give up on the model, and you will continue, making so much progress. And I would like to end it with the quote again saying, whatever you do, do it so well that no man living and no man dead and no man that has yet to be born can do it any better. The model works. Thank you, everyone.